Kings Canyon Encounter. This incident occurred in 1984 when me and a friend of mine were on a 10-day backpack hiking the Ray Lakes Loop in Kings Canyon National Park. It was the last night of the trip, and the following day we had about an 8-mile hike back to my Jeep at Grants Grove Trailhead. We were camping close to Bubbs Creek Trail Camp, but if you were daring enough, you could cross the creek over a large tree that had fallen across the way. It was fairly safe, only about 20 feet across and only about a 6-foot drop into the water. But it ran fast and deep and there were rocks, so you really didn't want to fall in. And you made sure to unbuckle your backpack to throw it off just in case you happened to take a spill. We knew there was good camping on the other side of the creek because we had done previous backpacks on this trail before. We also knew few people crossed to that side of the creek to camp. So we crossed the creek and set up our tent in a cool spot we had camped at before. It was located right on the edge of the forest, with a huge meadow in front of us. We went separate ways looking for firewood. Wood was plentiful, and in a few minutes I had returned, and I was just about to go get another armful when my friend burst through the bushes into the camp. He had no wood, his face was drained white, and he was wide-eyed. "What the hell is going on?" I asked him. "A deer charged me," he said, and I could see he was really scared. "What? Come on, deer don't attack people." I told him, "I'm not lying." He insisted. "A huge buck charged me. I threw my wood down and ran back to camp." Well, I thought he was bullshitting me, but eventually we got a fire going and cooked dinner. We were sitting around the fire, and it was just before dusk when, lo and behold, this huge 10-point buck came loping out into the meadow, followed by his doe. "That's him!" my buddy exclaimed, and we both jumped up looking at this huge buck. He was staring us down and started walking closer to our camp. He didn't seem to be afraid of our fire, and he closed to within about 60 feet. I was dumbstruck. I have been hiking, camping and backpacking since I was 12 years old with my older brother, and I had never encountered anything like this. I picked up a large piece of firewood and smacked it upon the hollow log I had been sitting on, thinking it would scare him away. This may have not been the best move on my part, because the buck started pawing the ground and then began sauntering toward us. In the moment, me and my buddy were just frozen in fear, thinking, "Oh shit, what do we do now?" We only carried bear spray with us, and it was not handy at that time. I would say the buck was within about 30 feet when he broke into a full charge, and then immediately he turned and galloped into the forest with his doe chasing after him. We just looked at each other, scared out of our wits, like, what just happened? But wait, that's not all. After we calmed down and it got really dark, we were just sitting out enjoying the stars, and we were still talking about that buck. We were kind of enclosed by the 1,000-foot high canyon walls, but they were set back away, so we had a great view of the night sky. I think we both saw it at the same time. Coming over the lip of the canyon was a bright, steady, glowing white light. Now it was really high in the sky, far above the canyon walls, and its altitude was indeterminate, but it appeared to bob and zigzag across the sky as it moved along. It kept a forward direction, but it would slow and then move at an angle, then speed up and move back across and then slow again. We were both mesmerized watching this light weave its way across the night sky, and it was definitely a solid object, obscuring the stars behind it as it passed. We were asking each other as it crossed the sky, eliminating what it possibly could be. It wasn't an airplane, a satellite, or any natural phenomena, at least none that to this day I am aware. We thought it may be a helicopter, but surely even if it were 1,000 feet above the height of the canyon, we would have heard it reverberating against the canyon walls. It was absolutely silent. When it was directly overhead, I became acutely aware that this object was also aware that we were watching it, and at that moment, in my mind, it felt either sentient or it was controlled by something intelligent. A chill went down my spine, and I distinctly remember feeling a shudder go through my body. We were stunned into silence as we watched it move along and disappear behind the opposite canyon wall. After it was gone, we both looked at each other. We asked each other, "What in the hell was that? What did we just see?" To this day, I don't know what we saw. Now, I'm not saying it was an alien spacecraft, but it definitely fit the description of a UFO. It was definitely a solid object. It did not look, behave or move like anything conventional or anything natural. I don't know if it had anything to do with the strange behavior of the buck earlier that same night, but my friend won't talk about it. In hindsight, that whole night just seemed strange, like we were out of place in our reality as we know it. When I think back and consider all the theories and hypotheses of physics regarding the possibility of other dimensions, multi-universes, and even perhaps that we live in a simulated reality in computer code, I tend to believe we both experienced a glitch in the Matrix. Something strange and unexplained happened that night. It does not matter if anyone believes me, and frankly, if it didn't happen to me, I would not believe it either. In fact, sometimes I question it myself, but it indeed did happen. Other than telling this story to some close friends over the long years, this is the first time I have ever publicly acknowledged this. I look at it like this. Each of us as individuals can only make determinations from what our senses and our consciousness make from our unique individual experiences. I can't explain it, and I'm not trying to convince anyone else to believe it because it did not happen to you. It just happened.